Hi there, welcome to I'll Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Scorpio energy, and we're going to do this 10 card spread this time. And we're going to look at it from a couple different perspectives because not everyone harnesses high vibe Scorpio. Life's about learning lessons, and in our more shadowy nature, we can be more prideful, egotistical, immature, lazy, full of ourselves, more just caught up in the world at different stages of our life, looking to things of the world to make us feel better, and instead of getting more balance within ourselves or loving ourselves. And some people can choose to be intimidating and controlling in order to try to get people to do what they want. And high vibe, that can be more of anybody in shadowy energy, but shadowy Scorpio can be the intimidating, controlling, black and white thinking, narcissistic. But people who just prefer to keep their emotions buried beneath the surface. Scorpio is emotional water sign energy, and it can be about if we are willing to be more authentically ourselves and do more deep, meaningful relationships to explore the mysteries of life and, of who we are and relationships and the depths of our emotional nature. And some people aren't willing to do that. We're emotionally complex and it's confusing, and some people have decided, I'm not going there. It's confusing. I'm just going to kind of use my emotions kind of more superficially, to a certain degree, use them as I need them. But some of them aren't, just don't even want to explore themselves emotionally. And we just need to see the truth. We all tap into Scorpio energy. This could be a story of what's going on within Scorpio energy right now. It might more affect people who are a Scorpio sun sign or have significant Scorpio placements. But in turn, it can affect us all because we all tap into Scorpio energy. So, anyway, listen to where you might be in the story, how you might harness your Scorpio energy, how different people in your life might harness their Scorpio energy. Okay, so I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, and it's the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. It can have to do with what our truth is. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. When we feel some mental conflict within ourselves, it kind of, what action do we take in life? Do we move forward and take action more out of pride, ego, fear, insecurity, trying to control people, or some other shadowy reason? Or do we work through the mental conflict to get to the truth, and from a place of love for ourselves and others, and having a dream of moving forward in loving energy and loving environments, that we take action from a place of love and looking at life from a higher perspective, because we can all kind of get caught up in just our perspective and what we want, right? I'm kind of, the end of the reading here kind of caught my attention when I laid out the cards. So we're kind of going to work there and then work our way back. At the very end here, we have the Seven of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy, which is about our philosophy of life. It influences the decisions that we make in our life. All these different rules and regulations in our head. This is good, that's bad, this is right, that's wrong, I could get hurt doing this, this is the safe way to go about things. Do I want to live more from my mind than my heart? Am I willing to invest in love or not? Some people kind of put an end with the Death card of Scorpio to their more hopeful, believing inner child nature of being more balanced within themselves and kind of doing more equal give and take in relationship. And in our free will nature, we can either choose to align more with our worldly egoic nature or our more hopeful believing nature. And some people are like, nope, I am not going to align with getting more balance within myself. If we're tipped out of balance where we're indulging poor behavior in ourselves, we're indulging poor behaviors in others, it takes work and effort. The pentacles can talk about putting in work and effort. It takes work and effort to do that. And some people are like, screw that. And instead of aligning, and also high vibe Taurus energy can talk about acting with character and integrity. And all of that, you have to discipline your more egoic nature to have more hope and faith and belief in yourself, have hope and faith and belief in others, have hope and faith and belief in love, and to temper your more egoic nature to do more equal give and take and act with character and integrity. And some people are like, no, I'm not going to do that. People that are in that energy, they can go. So they indulge their more immature ways of handling situations in their thinking, logic, and reasoning, aligning with a more shadowy, the page can represent all three of the air signs of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Gemini, again, about our dualistic nature. Aquarius, about what our dreams are. Libra, about what we think is just and fair. The high vibe people have put an end to their more immature nature. And they're more shadowy Taurus, stubborn, and more transactional. And they put an end to their more immature nature to transform their life. I do love and believe in myself and still have hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams and in love. And I do want to exchange resources with people who act with character and integrity. And if I want to be in that type of relationship with people, I should be that type of person. So I have to detach from my more immature ways of being to be in that energy also in order to work with people who are in that high vibe type energy. But there's some people who think, no, I have an idea. I can just go be in a relationship and try to work with people who are like that, but I don't really have to be like that. You're either being truthful and honest and authentic, harnessing high vibe, like Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. You are who you say you are. If you present yourself as this just and fair, stable, grounded, loving, hopeful, believing person aligned with truth and love, you really are. But some people are like, well, no, I just want to go hang out with people who are like that, and I want to work there, and I want to get in a relationship with them, and I might want to marry them. But basically thinking I'm so smart, that can be a shadowy air sign energy, which anyone can harness. I think I'm so smart, I don't really have to do love. I don't really have to do equal give and take. I think I can kind of indulge myself in the relationship. And because those people might be more hopeful and believing and loving, I kind of think they won't see the truth about me. And so then I can indulge myself in the relationship, at least until they do. And then when they do, they might end a relationship with me and not want to invest in me anymore. And then the gig is up, and those people have to go try to find someone else to manipulate. And if the shadowy people can find someone who, at this point in time, doesn't know the truth about them, is still kind of more defensive of believing in themselves and loving themselves and believing in their dreams, and could be the pages can represent that people can be a more codependent energy. And we all in a way can kind of be a more codependent energy because we want to be in friendships, we want to be in relationships, we want to have a job. We're in some ways we are kind of more codependent on other people, but are we willing to speak our truth and stand up for our truth? And it's like, if I get in a relationship with people and I see that people are kind of not acting with character and integrity and actually investing in this relationship, where the relationship kind of grows and matures over time, and they kind of grow and mature over time, and I'm a human being who does kind of try to learn lessons and go through my baggage and make sure I'm not acting more immature and stubborn and prideful, I expect other people to do that. And if they're not, then I am going to hold up my sword to those people. And then some more shadowy people in your life don't like that. And in order to try to manipulate you and control you, they might quit talking to you. They might quit doing equal give and take with you. They might quit investing in you. It's like, I have the free will to speak in truth. The Page of Swords can be just not like a defensive energy, not like a controlling energy, just to try to be more open and honest and authentic with someone. Just to, maybe we have differences of opinion. Maybe our philosophies of life are different. Maybe what we'd like to go invest our time, energy, and effort into different things is different. Are we willing to talk about that? And even that is too vulnerable for some people to do. And so then it's to try to use all these manipulation tactics, or they're much more immature than you realized. And it's all these manipulation tactics that they tried to do. And if you've been around that track enough times, you don't want to keep repeating that pattern. And people will keep repeating a pattern over and over and over if that's like their comfort zone and they don't want to see the truth. From the Six of Pentacles to the Seven of Pentacles, we're adding a pentacle to it. In high vibe, that's adding the truth to it, which is love. That love is supposed to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. It's not just supposed to be more of a transactional relationship. Well, you have that, I have this. It would be like somebody being at a job. It's like, well, you aren't an employee and I'm here, so you pay me and I work here. But do I really, the Seven of Pentacles can talk about investing in it. Do I really invest in it? Some people just kind of maybe put in the bare minimum. The Death card can be that people are in non-life giving energy. They do live more from their mind than their heart. I need a job, I'll go get a job. I want a friend, I'll go try to get in a friendship. I want to be in a relationship or a marriage, I'll try to go get in a relationship or a marriage. But it's not inspired by truth of wanting to do equal give and take in truth and love. It's kind of more like, well, I don't really know, but this works for now, so I'll be here. But if anything else comes better along, I might go invest in something else. I'm not really sure if I want to keep putting work and effort into it. So we start out with the Queen of Cups, the Five of Wands, or the King of Wands, and the Three of Pentacles. So in our Scorpio nature, we operate from a foundation. We're either in our fire sign energy, kind of motivated and inspired by love, or we could like to be in relationships that are loving, but shadowy King of Wands is that we're kind of more about ourselves. I love myself. That's the foundation I operate from. Or I'm a loving person who's inspired to work with other people from love. And then we have the Two of Cups, the Knight of Swords, the Two of Wands, and the Six of Swords. Everybody wants to be in a job, a friendship, or a relationship. Generally, because people sometimes need a job. If nothing else, they would like to have some friendship or relationship, right? But everybody has their truth. And some people are very defensive and self-protective of like their inner child nature. Like they don't let it come out to play because it could get hurt. And the Knight of Swords is kind of sent by the King and Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is Aquarius energy. The King of Swords is Libra energy. I am defensive of being hurt, or I defend being more immature. Whatever the case is, they think it's just and fair. In their mind, they've rationalized it. It could be because somewhere along the line in their life, they could have had people in their life that they loved, even if it was just their parents. And they wanted those people to work together with them cooperatively in a just and fair and loving and nurturing and supportive way. And some of those people, anybody can be immature. You can be a 65-year-old and be immature and stubborn and bossy, controlling, superficial, shallow, caught up in yourself, more about ego and image, or just not a very nice person, right? Some people could have grown up in families where they saw someone who is very loving, and then they saw someone who kind of took advantage of people who are loving. And in either case, some people could have decided, I either felt like I was loving to people who weren't loving to me, and that's it, I'm done. I'm not letting my more authentic nature out anymore. Or I watched that dynamic play out, and I realized loving people could be like that other people can try to manipulate them and take advantage of them because they're loving. So I've decided I'm going to be one of the people who thinks those people are immature. The loving people are naive and gullible. I'm not going to be naive and gullible. I'm going to be one of the people who takes advantage of the loving people in the world. Those people are dumb. Those people are stupid. The loving, that's like the way some people can view loving people. They're naive, they're gullible, they're silly. They have this illusion about what it means to be in relationships. They got to grow up. you know? And so then they get in a relationship and they decide it's more about them. They're not going to let their more hopeful, believing, loving nature out to play. And they have this philosophy of life that's like Taurus and Aquarius. I have this way of viewing life that I have decided this is the way the world works. I think this is just and fair. The world tells me, at least some of the people in the world tell me it's just and fair. That's my idea of the dream life. The Two of Wands can also be like I have a dream, just like Aquarius energy. This is my truth, and this is how I'm going to keep moving forward. And those are people that just aren't aligned with high vibrational energy of having that spark of hope and faith and belief and love. And you can get in a relationship with them. Do they, if it's a relationship partner, whether they're male or female, are they someone who might want to indulge you in a relationship? Yeah, if you have something in the world, the pentacles can mean money, but you could be attractive. You could have social clout. You could be charming. Other people could be attracted to you. And, whatever it is that builds people ego. I'm going to get in a relationship with them and I'm going to invest in them because that makes me look like I'm kind of the boss. That's shadowy Aries energy, which anyone can harness. And I'm going to move forward with these people. And then it's, it's like trying to control someone. That's what shadowy energy, the big picture in a world of duality where we have free will, we kind of refer to it, the big picture. High vibe energy is represented by God. Shadowy energy is represented by the devil. We all have our dualistic nature. Our own shadow nature tries to keep us in our fear and our insecurity and our lust and our greed and our more immature, self-indulgent, worldly nature. And high vibe energy within us tries to help us grow and mature ourselves and detach from our more shadowy, worldly nature. And then at the big picture, there's different people in the world that are in their energy, and we can have loving, supportive, encouraging people in our life that would like to be in a relationship and friendship with us. And we can have some people who align with our more shadowy nature, and they want us to keep staying in our more shadowy nature. Are you more inspired by the world? Were you someone who had this way of viewing life and relationships? That if you get a job or you get in a friendship or you get in a relationship, that because you're maybe a loving, nurturing person and you could put a lot of work and effort, both Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus are fixed sign energy. Oh, and Gemini must be one too. No, Gemini can't be one. I was just thinking maybe Aquarius. Oh, the nights are transitionary. Uh, But in our fixed sign energy, it's kind of the energies that we tap into when we get involved in something, and then we're putting in work and effort to make that job work, to make that relationship work, make that friendship work. It's hard to transition out of it because we'd like the things that we've invested in to work out. And that's also what some people are counting on. If I can present myself, because the masculine figures in tarot can represent how people present themselves in the world, and we can all present ourselves in the world any way we want to. And, I'm a just and fair person. I'm a stable, grounded person. I'm a loving person. You should want to work together with me. So the King of Wands can be that people, in some way, could be appealing and attracted to people for some reason. It could be they do have stability or security in their life. They do have a certain status and image. They could be charming. They could be attractive. Something, can make people be kind of drawn to wanting to invest in them. And some people can go out in the world, but they could be operating from, I view shadowy Queen of Swords or Queen of Cups as Scorpio energy, where they like to be in relationships, but they kind of like doing this certain pattern. I have a way of viewing life. I have a way of living life. That's kind of shadowy Taurus. I don't want to add to my foundation. If we go from the Seven of Pentacles and we were to go to the Eight of Pentacles, we're looking to the future and we're putting in work and effort to move forward in life kind of differently. And some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's just do this. And so emotionally, they want to be in these relationships, but they're inspired more by this way of living life where they don't want to move forward in life differently. If they do move forward in things, they want to keep doing things the way they've always done it, which is, I will get in a relationship with you, but I'm kind of defensive. And I'm self-protective of my more authentic, hopeful, believing, loving nature. So the masculine figures can represent the people, male or female. They could be operating a little bit more from their ego nature. Now, anybody, the high vibe and the more shadowy people, are presenting themselves in King of Wands energy. But some of them really are who they say they are. That's high vibe energy. I am authentically who I present myself as being. I am a loving person, motivated and inspired to work together with other people. And as we move forward, I will emotionally detach from any old ways of being to keep growing and healing and maturing myself. And any ways within myself that are kind of more immature and that are kind of stubborn, and I'm willing to work with other people to work through those issues, to keep investing in this relationship and then keep moving the relationship forward. And other people can be the opposite, where I'm willing to get in a relationship with you, but I'm going to keep being defensive kind of to the truth because I have a dream and I want it to be like this and I want it to keep moving forward like that. So in like 5 years from now or 10 years from now, that will be how we will be living life. That's my truth. That's my idea of the dream relationship. We do not see the truth. You're either being enlightened to the truth all the time throughout your life. I look at life differently. How I looked at life 5 years ago is different than how I look at it now. How I looked at it 10 years ago is different than how I looked at it 5 years ago. But some people can be quite fixed in their way of viewing life and they don't want to do things different. If you were going to, and some people can just be quite either controlling or stubborn, unbudging. This is the way it should be. But, if you're going to work with other people, especially if it's a romantic relationship, it's like, well, you might have had your dream and how you want to move forward, And if you were to stay single, that works out dandy. But if you wanted to exchange resources with other people and have new beginnings with other people, well, those people had their own dreams. And if you're going to work together with other people, well, then it's kind of you have your dream, I have my dream. We kind of try to maintain balance because two, three of swords make up the six of swords. I have my truth and I have my own inner conflict about, I kind of like things more my way or the highway too. And you have that within you. And we both take responsibility for maintaining balance within ourselves to maintain balance in this relationship. But some people could think, well, no, my truth is more important than your truth, and my dream is more important than your dream, and it should be more my way. You should probably put an end to your truth and how you wanted to exchange and your philosophy of how we would work together in a relationship or a workplace or a friendship, because my way is the right way. You know, which wouldn't be bad if their way was on let's treat each other with truth and treat each other the way we like to be treated, and let's be just and fair, and let's all grow up, and let's be willing to see what more immature ways of ourself and ways of thinking or being that we need to detach from and move forward. I think would be the best way to do it. But instead, some of these people want to keep moving forward, defending their more immature ways of viewing life. Or some people can be inspired by the past and they knew people who lived their life a certain way, or they're inspired by how other people live their life, and it's kind of like we got to live our life like they live their life, or we got to live our life like those people live their life, because they don't want to harness their fire sign energy in a more creative, inspired way. And that's where shadowy Taurus can be. We should follow that template. Well, that's what my mom and dad did. We should live our life like they did. And they did this and they did that, and they went to these functions and they didn't go to these functions, and they acted like this and they didn't act like that, and they hung out with these kind of people and not with those kind of people. It's like not living their authentic life. It's like they put an end to living their own authentic life, which can be really hard to understand why some people do that. But maybe it's a fear of failure. What if I go pursue my dream and then it doesn't work out? And then, the opposite sign of Scorpio, oh, it is Taurus. I want a certain status and image. What would people think of me? And all those things kind of manipulate them. So they don't even sometimes live their authentic truth. No, we got to do it like this. That's what those people did. That's what those people are doing. We should do that because I am defensive to kind of listening to my own creative, inspired, intuitive, hopeful, believing nature to go live my authentic life. And that also is like high vibe Aquarius, shining your authentic light in the world, living your authentic truth. High vibe Aquarius is about stepping outside of societal norms to bring needed change to the world. If we all keep repeating an old pattern, we never give birth to something new, right? And that's what some people were brought up. Oh, you can't. They could have grown up with people like, you get back there. And if they ever even tried to live their more authentic life, they had people in their life that were like, you get back there. No, you got to do life like this. You can't do that. And so then, some of them, they never had a chance to, even spread their wings and fly. And so then sometimes, when some of the people who used to kind of control some people, sometimes you hear about that when kids go to college and they can really kind of drive their life off into the ditch because they don't have people around there kind of, instead of them learning how to self-discipline themselves, they had people kind of really controlling them. And then when they get to go off to college and those people that they had been moving forward with are kind of moving on without them, and they get to kind of go have an opportunity to live their own life. They don't want to keep investing in living life that way, because that kind of, you know, we kind of all kind of want to go live our own life. And if people are too oppressive of you when you were a child, you kind of don't learn some of these lessons to um, kind of know some of the danger zones and have learned some of these life experiences. And sometimes when people didn't, it's kind of like you could look at people having a midlife crisis in a way. You know, I wanted to get in a relationship, I wanted to get in married, I thought that was my truth, and then they're moving forward in it, and then they're like, shoot, I never got to really go do some of these things I wanted to do. Now, can high vibe people feel that way too? Yeah, the difference is high vibe people offer love to the people they're in a relationship with. They want them to move forward with them, but they're just telling them, you know, I didn't even realize what some of my dreams and motivations and aspirations were. And it wasn't to just be more about myself and go indulge myself in the world. And for other people, well, that's why they're not telling people the truth, an end to the truth, because it really was more about them and they wanted to go be more about them. And then the other people are upset. You know, the people who wanted to move the relationship forward in love, we can all work together for, you know, I mean, if you want to go be all about yourself and go indulge yourself in some things that aren't conducive to moving forward, you know, it's not based on truth and love, and you want to go indulge yourself, well, that's just a no go. But other people just wanted to invest in things that were more aligned with their truth, that they wanted to invest some time, energy, and effort into, even if it's a career, or maybe they weren't in a career, or realize there was something that they didn't even know, and then they come across something like, wow, you know, I think I'd really like to start investing more into this. It's kind of aligned, not being as motivated maybe by just being in a relationship or just being married or just having a job. I found something that I really want to invest in that really seems to maybe be aligned more with my soul or my life purpose in the Aquarius card. And they could become less codependent over time in a relationship, like the high vibe people. And maybe before they were more codependent, and we can all get in relationships where we're more codependent and we're more motivated by these things of the world, and that's our truth. That's a dream we want to bring into reality. And partly we just didn't even know and see it was a more codependent relationship, that we could have been looking for other people to love us because we hadn't learned to love ourselves. And as we go through life and we do learn to love ourselves, and we work through some of our mental conflict about loving and believing in ourselves, we get out of that more codependent energy, and instead of being in what can seem like a more transactional relationship, that, well, this seems good, this seems stable, this seems to look good by worldly standards, I really do want to invest in a more deep, meaningful relationship. Can this relationship move forward to the next level? And that could be, you know, it can happen in a way in workplaces, friendships, and relationships. If one person wants to move forward differently, wanting everyone to move forward in life differently, you know, from having hope and faith and belief and love and putting in work and effort and working together cooperatively. Let's not just be more transactional. Let's not be more, one person is more controlling and other people have to be more codependent. Let's, you know, it's just a more creative, inspired environment where it's kind of like appreciating what everybody brings to the table. But in a more imbalanced relationship, some people could think, well, no, I'm the boss and it should just be more about me, and I should be able to act in these shadowy ways if I want to, and people should indulge me, and they don't want, who mostly doesn't want things to change? People who benefit from things not changing. Who more wants things to change? People who kind of feel like, I do feel like I'm being limited or oppressed or confined or restricted, or If it's like a job, like, you made it sound like things are going to move forward, I'd be able to take on more responsibility. I'd maybe get more pay as time went by. I'd learn new things. And that's not happening. And they're like, we know. We were just creating an illusion. That was never the truth. And it's like, and and then the same thing happens in relationships. Well, I thought we were all going to grow and heal and mature. It's like, well, no, I thought you should grow and heal and mature. Well, I did grow and heal and mature. What about you? It's like, oh, well, no, I don't need to do that. And if you think I need to grow and heal and mature, you can leave. I'll go find someone else who doesn't know the truth about me, and I'll go create this illusion that I'm this just and fair and loving and supportive and encouraging person. And in a lot of ways, they can come across that way and be that way in a relationship. It's just that over time, you kind of realize the differences. They don't ever want to detach from it either being a more codependent relationship or it being kind of tilted in their favor where it's more about them, or that they were just kind of more indulging in the relationship instead of more authentically, emotionally investing in it. And so long as it's good for the ego and the image and all those good things, they'll stay in it. But it's never really going to be a more authentic, where there's more equal give and take in it. And that's when some people in jobs and friendships and relationships aren't sure that they want to keep staying in it. Now, if people, we can all have people in our life, whether they're friends, family members, or work colleagues, or romantic relationships. If people are on the same page, well, they're going to defend those relationships from anyone else who might try to kind of interfere in that relationship, because that's not our truth. And we've already probably learned enough lessons in life that if we were to indulge our more immature behavior, the people we're in a relationship with aren't going to keep investing in us. And I'd be acting out of more shadowy energy, probably not telling the truth that I am kind of more about myself. And we've probably already learned that when I plant bad seeds, I don't reap a good harvest. So some people, and then if people are both more shadowy, and the truth is they are more about the ego and the image, they both don't like to be in more deep, meaningful relationships, they both are more codependent, those people will defend that relationship. If people are in a more mismatched relationship, one person is always trying to control and manipulate the other person, either using the love that they have for them to manipulate them, knowing they love them. For some, it can be your children, it can be your adult children, but it can also just be anybody that you have love for. And they try to use the fact that you're a loving person who wants this to work out to manipulate you, to get you to keep kind of ignoring the truth that it should be equal give and take, to having the scales kind of tipped in the more shadowy person or more immature person's behavior. And there could be some tension going on in workplaces, friendships, and relationships right now, because some of the high vibe people have already, it makes me think of that Gwen Stefani song where she's like saying something about not going around that track. What is it? Hey, holla back, girl. And it's like, I'm not repeating that pattern. You can be in workplaces where people, they could be, say, whatever age you are, you can meet people on all different ages of the spectrum, and they can act like 15-year-old, petty, envious, immature, backstabbing, bullies, egotistical, full of themselves type people, right? Some people have not learned some lessons to temper their ego and their more immature nature. And high vibe people have learned to stay focused on acting in a way they can be proud of, acting from their truth, which is like high vibe Taurus, because there can be people in the world who try to tempt you to act more in your shadowy nature, like I'm trying to get you mad so that I can say that you said this, or like you're not who you say you are, right? Or tempt you in a more shadowy way to be more lustful or greedy or whatever, right? And it's like, I'm going to stay focused on my truth, and I'm going to be inspired to feel stable and grounded within myself. There's all sorts of different people in the world, and that's the foundation I'm going to operate from. And I'm going to let love and truth be what leads me forward. And if there's people in my life who I are defensive or kind of immature or not telling the truth or trying to manipulate the truth or trying to tempt me in some type of shadowy energy, I'll probably just try to keep my distance from them. You know, if you work with them, you can't, you know, they're around, but it doesn't mean you have to keep investing in them, you know, your time, energy, and effort. You know, you focus on your work, you focus on other people in the world who aren't like that. Um, Other people cannot like that you're not acting like they are if they're being kind of more, I don't know, petty or immature or something. Um, or just that you feel like they're kind of acting in ways to maybe make you feel rejected or something. It's like, I don't really care. Why would I want to hang out or be friends with people who act like that? I've already probably known people who are like that. You do you, and I'm going to keep moving on and focusing on my work or in my life, people in my life. You can go, you know, eventually you'll kind of move on, and, uh, you know, I'm going to, you know, initially people might have spoken their truth, but then it's like you work through the frustration of it from the Knight of Swords to the Six of Swords to kind of get back to a place of peace. Because if it is somebody that you've been friends with a long time and you wanted to be friends with them a long time, or someone you were dating, or, you know, if it was someone you were married to or wanted to marry, you know, needless initially can cause you a lot of anger and mental conflict, and you don't understand why they're acting that way. And eventually it's like, I don't choose to be in that energy. And the truth will set me free. I'm going to stay in an energy of love. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but if they're not willing to tell me the truth, then, you know, all I can assume, I guess, is that maybe we got to a point in a relationship which you can know people for a long time or even be married to people for a long time, and it does get to kind of the core foundational truth. You can work through a lot of different issues in a relationship that you work through that you can find compromise on or that you're compatible on, but eventually it can get to be, are you more motivated to kind of heal and grow and mature yourself and keep moving forward in this, having wanting to keep investing in it, and the other people could decide no. And that can be hurtful, but then sometimes we have to think that maybe sometimes those people didn't like it, that maybe during the course of the relationship we did change. Because again, the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. The Fives can talk about change. You're not the same person you were when we had been in this relationship, and I still am. I still like hanging out with people that live their life that way, think that way, and maybe I was able to kind of manipulate you or control you, or you kind of indulged me more in the relationship, and now you seem to be different and you want to move forward in life differently, and I don't want to move forward in life differently. And I'll keep hanging out with the people who are still the same. And the whole thing is, you just could have looked at life differently, you know? At any stage of life when we're living life, we think we're living the dream. You know, I'm 15, I'm 18, I'm 21, I'm 25. Wow, I love it. This is great. I want to do this forever. And sometimes some people do it forever. And other people kind of realize, well, wait a minute, I had a dream, and if I keep living my life like this, my dream isn't going to come into reality. And I am going to listen to my more hopeful, believing inner child nature that tells me it's time to detach from that way of living life and viewing life. And high vibe energy is about becoming more independent. You know, as you go through your life, you shed being more like an 18-year-old. You quit kind of, and you quit kind of, first you got to kind of reconcile yourself in the Six of Pentacles that I'm thinking of detaching kind of from that way of living life or viewing life to invest in facing my fears to move forward in life differently and to keep investing in bringing my dreams into reality. And there might be some people that I love that I would like to have them keep moving forward with me, but some of those people aren't ready to, just like I wasn't ready to at some point in time, and other people kind of moved on in life ahead of me because I still wanted to live life and view life whatever way I had been. And eventually high vibe people kind of get to a place of peace. Can that take quite a while? Yeah, because Scorpio does talk about that we're these emotionally complex human beings, and we really wanted those things to work, and but we really think about what kind of relationships we want to live in, and who and what and how we want to invest our time, energy, and effort in the world. And we've already probably been having some conflict in those relationships or living life that way because it's kind of our Gemini nature saying, you know, you kind of been doing this long enough. You know, and in tarot they could talk about that. We were kind of more about ourself and indulging in the world, and that's like living in our south node. And now it's time to listen to your more hopeful, believing, loving nature. You've learned all these lessons in life, and it's time to invest in getting in your north node and looking at life from a higher perspective. There's more than being caught up in the world and being about yourself and indulging yourself. Now it's to take those things that you've learned to go, I don't know, help be a shining light in the world, help other people love and believe in themselves, believe in their dreams, pursue your dreams if you weren't pursuing your dreams, invest in your own unique talent, skills, and interests or something. And that's when some people are still definitely more tipped in favor, you know, because that's what happens in a relationship. You're at any relationship, it's coming into contact with other people to help you get more clear about what your truth is. Are we both more tipped in favor? Because I view, since there's 12 zodiac signs, I kind of view the sevens as tipping into one way or the other. Are we both kind of leaning towards that we're on the same page and going forward, like in more hope and faith and belief in our dreams and in love and growing up and maturing and justice and fairness in relationships? Those are the people I'm going to keep moving forward with. Or is one person tipping into that type of energy, but the other person's like, you know, I thought this was what I wanted, and I thought I wanted to live my life, but I'm really not ready. I still want to live my life, still being more motivated by me or the world, or still being defensive, or still being self-protective, or still being more transactional, or not wanting to put in more work and effort, or not wanting to move further in a relationship. And when some people are ready to move forward and some other people aren't, we kind of see the truth that we have different dreams. We're kind of headed in different directions. And in order to move forward, the high vibe people offer love to it, to work through their defensiveness and their codependent energies, and that they wanted a dream to come into reality, and they work through all of that so that they can let that go, wishing people peace and love, that everybody is where they're at. Their dream is different than my dream. How we view life, what we think is just and fair, is different. And then the high vibe people are able to move forward, kind of taking the lesson, because when you add one pentacle in high vibe, it means you learn the lesson you're meant to learn from it. And then you don't have an interest in repeating that old pattern again. And then if people do that, you, as you're moving forward and you're moving forward in new jobs, friendships, or relationships, or social groups or something, and someone, it's like always challenging you, because negative energy is always going to be there in the world. People who are petty or immature, it's the next level. Did you learn your lesson or did you not? Are you going to repeat that pattern where you're kind of, oh my goodness, I'm going to be loving and encouraging, and I'm sure you're going to change? And realize if people are motivated and inspired to be more just, more fair, more balanced, more invested, less defensive, less immature, they would be that kind of person. Now, it can be difficult if we have been dealing with adults here, and now the next challenge is dealing with younger, more immature people, but I think high vibe energy is about being a good leader. And anybody can kind of want to trigger us into kind of getting in the dirt with them. I knew you were just like me, or I knew you aren't who you said you were, and I knew you were more whatever. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to do my best to keep my distance from you if I can. I'm going to stay in an energy of balance. I'm going to stay in an energy of love and feeling stable and grounded within myself. If I feel like people are, I just don't know that I think it's worth telling people that you think they're being immature, bossy, or controlling, or whatever, because they're just gonna, if they knew they were, they would admit it. And if they don't know it, some of them would argue to the death because they refuse to see the truth. You're either enlightened to the truth or you want to stay in denial of the truth. And some people do have a win at all costs attitude. That's also the Five of Swords. It is really all about me. I love me. I'm motivated and inspired by me. Other people should love me. Other people should want to work with me. And they just don't see the truth that you're a defensive, immature, egotistical, self-centered, emotionally shallow twit. And they don't want to see the truth of it. So there's no point telling them. But it might be like, you know what? This really isn't working for me. We just don't really seem to click, I mean, if you did have to tell them anything, or just keep your distance from them if it's at work. But if it's another relationship, it's like, you obviously have some lessons to learn. I might try to emotionally detach myself from you to a degree if I can and let you go learn some life experience. And when this keeps happening over and over with other people, maybe you just will quit blaming everyone else for your problems and realize that you might have some of these shadowy ways of being. Anyway, what's coming out for some people who harness some high vibe Scorpio energy that want to be in balanced, loving relationships and probably are defending some people in their life who are like that and kind of distancing themselves from other people in their life? The Ace of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, the Ace of Swords, and the reason is because of the Hangman. So the Hangman can talk about that we can feel stuck. And we don't, it's hard to understand someone else's perspective when that's not how you think. But there are people in the world that do live more from their mind than their heart and could think they're very smart, want to be in relationships with people, but they don't really think, they just think they can outwit and outsmart people and get them to do what they want maybe. And some of them don't want to do love and they just want to indulge in it and that'll look like love and they'll quack like love, but it's not really love. And eventually you just see it's more superficial and shallow, which is shadowy Scorpio energy. And sometimes you're realizing some people are just immature and that some people got a lot of growing up to do. But all of that helps us see life from a perspective that we weren't seeing before, and we need to be aware of that. High Vibe Hangman talks about being enlightened to the truth, that not everybody views life the way you view it. We live in a world of duality. For every person who, on kind of a more positive way of viewing life, for everyone somewhere on the spectrum, there's equally people on the opposite side of the spectrum. We got awful devil over there, God over there, and human beings are somewhere in between on the spectrum, And because you were willing to try to look at life from other perspectives, but you also weren't willing to let people keep you stuck and trapped. The devil tries to use the love that you have for people to trap you. And if the devil can get someone else in shadowy energy and you love that person, then the devil can tempt you maybe, but they got someone that you love and then they trap you too. And it's realizing everybody has free will. I can love people, but they have free will to live their life the way they want to live it. I can love them. I've had to learn my hard lessons. I had my ideas. I went and pursued things I wanted to go pursue, and I went and did it until all the things I went and pursued didn't work out the way I wanted. And I had to put an end to my more immature ways of being, and I had to grow up and mature myself. And I can be a loving and encouraging person in the world to all the people that I meet, trying to throw good logs on the fire instead of bad logs on the fire, I can try to enlighten other people to the truth by just being a good example. I don't have to argue and fight with people to get them to change their mind. I can just go live my life. And when I go live my life, and in that regard, the fives can kind of be about balance also, because there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. I'm not way up in my head. I'm not down in my emotions. I'm not in my more immature nature, not in my more worldly nature. I'm staying balanced because I've been enlightened to the truth that the only person I can change is me. All I can do is offer truth and love to other people and keep walking my truth. High Vibe Taurus, you walk the talk. And if other people aren't motivated and inspired by that, then I see the truth of that. They still might have some issues to work through to be willing to do truth, justice, fairness, love. That's not quite how they're looking at life, or they could have things that keep them stuck, or mental conflict, or ego, or other people in their life, and they have to work through that themselves. And sometimes people do have these things that manipulate them, whether it's their fear, their ego, other people in their life, and they want us to be stuck with them. I'm codependent on this or these people. You love me. You should give up your dreams and stay stuck with me and move forward with me, and I'm going to move forward with them or that. And that's also what people sometimes see. It's like, you're not interested in investing in being more independent. You keep defending, you might talk a good game, but you keep not moving forward in life differently. Well, I've been enlightened to the truth. I see that you are more either invested in fighting or being defensive or being stubborn or more about other people or the world or your ego or whatever. And that's not my truth. And that's how high vibe people can come to a place of peace of it. how you want to live your life and what you value and what you think is important is different than kind of what I value and what I think is more important. What you think is just and fair, what I think is just and fair. And I'm not going to keep staying stuck in a mental conflict just because I don't like the truth. And that's like shadowy Aries energy within ourselves, where we're like, we think we're the boss. Even God gives people free will. But we're like, no, no, I can change them. No, I love them. And I put work and effort into this. It's like, God, make them change. I wanted this dream to come into reality. It's like, you have to deal with the truth. You're not the boss. They are the boss of their own life. They have their own ways of viewing life and living life and blah, blah, blah. And if you would get out of your shadowy hangman, your ego, you could let it go and accept the truth of it. And the people who do that work within themselves realize they can't change other people. Other people have already tried to tell them their truth. Some of those people are like, I do want to be in a relationship with you and exchange resources with you, but I am telling you, if you want to keep moving forward in this more high vibrational way, that's a no-go. It has to be my way. And it has to be about you let go of your more hopeful, believing, loving nature to kind of indulge me in my more immature ways of being. And some people are like, you know what? I'm done. You go do that, but you just got to go find someone else to do it with. I have been enlightened to the truth. I'm not going to try to change you. I accept you are who you are. And I'm going to go find people. Why am I trying to change people? Why have I been doing that? And that can be part of our ego too. Oh no. Oh look, there's someone who's defensive to love. Oh, there's someone immature and reckless. Oh look, there's someone who's master controlling or full of themselves. I'm going to change them. I'm like God. I'm such a loving, nurturing, supportive person. Of course, they'll change and choose love. If they wanted to be that type of person, they would be. And we can be loving and nurturing to people. And when we see that's not their truth, we have to get out of our more immature ways of viewing life and our ego and move on. And when you do that, you learn the lesson you're meant to learn. You've been enlightened to the truth. You get to move forward to the next phase of life to learn more lessons. And then you have no interest in repeating that old pattern of a way of being in a relationship anymore. And some of you might be doing a repeat performance just with other people. You know, sometimes we can have we can go through this many, many times in our life. This is a tough one to learn, right? But it's just getting out of our ego about it. People are who they are. When we're in our more codependent, like, but I wanted those people to like me, and why aren't those people being my friend? It's like, because they might be trying to manipulate you because they don't like that you do have that more hopeful, believing spirit, and they don't. They might not like that you're more stable or grounded than they are. They might not like that you're more just and fair and balanced within yourself, and they're not. And they don't want to be in relationships with people who are like that or that they can't manipulate or control. It's like, okay, I'm going to let you do you, and I'm going to keep standing up for what I believe in. And I believe there's more people in the world that don't want to act like that or be around people who act like that, that are more enlightened to wanting to invest in people who are more like me. And I'm going to let them do them, and I'm going to do me. What's coming up for people who aren't... So as you keep moving forward, there could be some people who have that hopeful, believing spirit that have been watching you go on this journey. Some of them want to be the next immature person to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with you. Let me be the next person to control you in your more loving and nurturing nature. And you're like, nope, already been there and done that. Moving on. And other people are watching it because they've already done that too. And they see you doing that and they think, wow, that is someone I would like to be in a relationship with. But, you know, there could just be working through some of their fears of actually communicating with you and making you an offer. And then we have the offer. And then people can get to know each other to find out, are you who you say you are? You seem to be this type of person, are you? Because I don't want to repeat that old pattern. If you're that kind of person and you're just putting on a good facade and you're going to do the same thing with them, and the people who you do think you're more on the same page with, that are more have healed from some of the same things you have, who look at life from the perspective you do, have been enlightened to learn some of the life lessons like you have, those are people you'll move forward with. Because you're not investing your time and energy anymore in trying to change other people to get them to view life differently. You do you, and I'm going to go find people in the world who are more on the same page as me. And if none of those people are around as I'm moving forward, I'm going to keep investing in my work, my friendships, my family, everything else that is part of my dream, my own unique talent, skills, and interests, growing and healing and maturing myself. I want, when I am going to come across that type of person, I want to be free to get in a relationship with them. I don't want to be emotionally tangled up in a relationship with someone I should have never been entangled with to begin with. So what's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Scorpio energy that they might not see coming up? And as you're moving forward in your life and you're kind of not indulging some people, um, it could make people see you differently, or you're not acting a certain way. Like some of the people in the world who could have been trying to manipulate you, the fact that they're not able to manipulate you, they see the truth that you've changed. And you're not going to put up with some of their bullshit anymore. That doesn't mean they're just going to go not bother with you anymore, maybe. Go find someone else to manipulate. Other people who see you, that you've changed, or you're not acting in ways that they typically could see some other people act in their life, those people kind of realize that, I do think you're different. That's high vibe Aquarius and high vibe Hangman, that you kind of seem to look at life differently than a lot of other people, because a lot of other people, just to go feel better in the world, could go indulge in certain things or ways of being, and they see that you're not doing that, and it's kind of like either they know you know the same thing they've learned, or they want to know how you did it, and they want to get to know you to see how you work through maybe some challenging times in your life and what your perspective is, because they want to have that type of perspective. What's coming up for some of the more worldly, shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Nine of Pentacles, the Death card, the Ten of Swords, the Queen of Wands. Why? Because of the Empress energy. Well, shadowy Empress and Nine of Pentacles can be people who, because they have these certain things of the world, they could have money, status, image, power, influence, just like some high vibe people have. But because they think that is kind of what makes them important and why people should want to invest in them, they are kind of emotionally shallow and superficial. And they don't want to maybe, or feel the need to have to be more authentic. That's high vibe Leo. No, I'm not going to harness high vibe Leo. I don't have to. I don't have to be like more authentic and loving and warm and encouraging. I have these things. And some people just have delusions about grandeur about themselves, right? And some people think, because they're kind of like full of themselves, also think, I think I can shadowy Scorpio end a relationship and backstab a high vibe person in my life. And I don't think that person will keep moving forward for some. I think they will feel so hurt because they are this loving person who puts in this work and effort to make a relationship work. And I know the Page of Swords can be, I know they love me, that it will stop them from loving and believing in themselves. And they'll come back and do the relationship the way I want because I really am the boss of this story. And I write the story of your life because I think I write the story of everybody's life because I think I'm the star of the show. Even if they're your adult children or even a child who can be quite egotistical, or adults, right? And so, and then some people thought, I don't like being in relationships with people who changed. That's what the death card can be. They transform their life. They put an end to operating from their more egoic nature, and now they're more balanced and stable within themselves because the Empress energy is Libra and Taurus energy. And some people are like, well, I don't want to do that. That's okay. You can go. I think I can keep moving forward in my more emotionally shallow, superficial view of life. And I'll get rid of the more high vibe people. And I think I can maybe get in a relationship with the Queen of Wands, can represent like the other man, other woman. I'm going to go align with my more shadowy nature, and I'm going to go align with people who are more shadowy and who might have status, image, or abundance, who live more from their mind than their heart. And I think I'll be able to give birth to a whole new beginning. Well, for some people that didn't work out because some can, even if we're in shadowy energy, just like you can be a person motivated by love, but we're all on different like emotional maturity levels, and we've all learned different lessons in life or not. um, it's still hard to find someone. You might decide, no, that's it, I'm going to find somebody who's more worldly focused, ego focused, codependent, doesn't, or maybe just wants to be more about ego and image. Well, to find someone who's on the same page as them, they can always go find other people who are more about the world, not about being more authentic, who are maybe more materialistic or more codependent or fearful. But then those people are kind of where they're at, right? And they could think, that sometimes we're not seeing people clearly, right? And we think, oh, they're more shadowy or more materialistic or more fearful. And then they find out that that person could have been that kind of person at one point in time in their life. But some of those people, what they don't realize and they didn't see was that some of those people either had healed and grown and matured themselves over time. And of course, some of these people hadn't. So they thought, of course, those people were the same. And then they try to go get in a relationship with them, and they're like, well, I used to be more worldly or egotistical or more immature or more codependent, but I'm not now. I want the same thing as the other people you've been in relationships with. And it's like, damn, 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 damn. Or they want to go get in a relationship with someone and they just think, oh, I can charm or manipulate anyone and I'll use my tactics. But then they could go get in a relationship with someone who they were not seeing is much more immature than them. And then it's like, oh shit. I mean, I might want someone codependent, but not that codependent, or don't mind somebody being a little immature, but not that immature. And it's still hard to find people who are kind of more on the same page. But I think at any given time, when some people are kind of more shadowy and they're unwilling to get out of their ego, they always have more high vibrational people in their life that are trying to encourage them to get out of their fear or their ego or their defensiveness or their more materialistic or egoic ways of living life because they love them and want to have a new beginning with them. And just like other people, they kind of end up seeing the truth that if this person wanted to move forward in life differently, they would, but they don't. And eventually some of the high vibe people in their life who know their worth and value and work through their own defensiveness about leaving the relationship leave, because they're not willing to keep indulging someone in their ego, and they're willing to get out of their own ego to let them go. Sometimes people don't want to get out of a relationship with someone because they can be attractive or charming or have money or whatever, and they could think, I know that person would like go get in a relationship with someone right away. That would bother my ego. But they've been in it hoping the people would, and then they kind of got to see through their own ego of why they maybe stay with them. And could they love them? Yes, but, you know, when you put it all in perspective, is this worth staying in? Will my ego be bothered if that person goes and gets in a relationship right away? Yeah. Some people, a relationship did end and someone did go get in a relationship right away, and it wasn't all this big drama and everything I've been talking about. A relationship just ended. Somebody went and got another relationship. Does it kind of get you in your ego? Yeah. It's just that high vibe people go through the process of working through it because I don't want to stay in that type of energy. And I am going to love myself, and I'm going to work with other loving and encouraging, supportive people in my life who are willing to work with me and invest in me. And I'm going to use that environment to kind of value myself and love myself and deal with the truth that me and some of those people weren't on the same page, and maybe see the truth of some things I wasn't seeing, and how I could have maybe gotten in it for my own kind of more shadowy reasons. And if I don't want to repeat that pattern, I need to look at life differently. And maybe those people had some shadowy traits and characteristics of their own that I didn't want to see the truth of. The truth sets us free. And the high vibe people do all that work within themselves. Again, to get the justice they deserve, they put in the work and effort to maintain balance within themselves, working and doing things that are uplifting and encouraging and inspiring. Myself, I love going to the movies, and we got cable, but I just love going to the movie theater. And appreciating what you bring to the table. And quit feeling backstabbed and betrayed and in your ego about it. We have that free will choice if we want, but it stops me from investing in looking at life differently. And I need to look at life differently. My dreams can only come into reality with people who are on the same page as me. And if some things didn't work out, well, then my dream can't come into reality. So it's trying to get me to get out of my ego to see the truth. Your dream can come into reality with that person anyway, because you weren't on the same page in some way. So that means if we work through this and we keep moving forward, people who are more on the same page as us are out there. But we need to invest in that new dream and let go of that and emotionally detach from that old dream. And if there's people that are kind of more about themselves, again, you can try to confuse people about the truth of who you are, and you can try to manipulate people, and you can use your emotions manipulatively, your sexuality manipulatively, your looks, your charm, your money manipulatively. But other people do listen to their intuition, and eventually you can hide the truth from some of the people some of the time, but you can't hide the truth from all the people all the time. And the people who get in a more involved relationship with you kind of end up seeing the truth, and then it'll be for those next people to have to do this work about, am I a more codependent energy? Am I willing to stay in it? Am I willing to let go of being in a more authentic and warm and loving high vibe Libra, high vibe Taurus energy, and living my more authentic life? Or am I going to stay in situations where I feel like I can't really be more authentically myself? They don't want me to be more authentic. They don't want me to be more balanced. They don't want me to love and believe in myself. They don't want me to speak my truth because they want me to make my life and live my life the way they live their life, even though that isn't maybe my truth, or conform to the world. And if the shadowy people, the people who eventually will stay in a relationship with them, will be maybe other people who just want to indulge in a relationship if they both want to stay single. Um, Other people who are willing to move forward with them in a relationship, whether they get married or not married. Because the truth is, they don't want to live their more authentic life either. They're more about the world and the ego and the image, and this works for them. It just might be a relationship that neither one eventually wants to be in. Because if neither one of them are aligned with wanting to explore the mysteries of life, Scorpio energy, from a place of love, it's kind of like being in a relationship where no one is operating from their loving nature. They've detached from that. It's all living from the mind, trying to create this illusion of how wonderful and loving their life is. But it's all like putting on a show. Look what a wonderful life we have. Don't we look like shining stars? But they don't have that creative, they don't operate from a foundation of that hopeful, believing, loving spark of life. It's like, no, we buried that under the surface. This makes logical, practical sense. You know, we have a certain image and status. We might have sex with each other or not, you know, but it's just more all about those things than being enlightened to the truth that it's about love. So that's where it ends up seeming more superficial and shallow. And they'll sit there and defend that type of relationship, watching other people who are moving forward, who work through their inner conflict, through their mental conflict, through their past pain and heartbreak, their self limiting beliefs, to free themselves to go be in more authentic, balanced relationships. And they know they just have the illusion of that. So there you go, Scorpio. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.